Yo, BJ Gaddour with the Daily BJ, and one of the more commonly asked questions I get is, which exercise is best for the lower body? Squats, deadlifts, or hip thrusts? Now ideally, you need to do all three, and each one of them will preferentially work one area of your lower body more than the others. A lot of it's dictated by your trunk positioning, your shin angle, the resistance factor or force with which you're resisting against. I'm going to cover all three quickly. We're going to start with squatting. Though your hamstrings will be active and your glutes definitely get a lot of work, squatting is more of a quads exercise, particularly when you load yourself in a front-loaded position or the rack position like a front squat, and or you elevate your heels to create more of a forward shin angle and get more depth. So we'll start with just the basic version of front-loaded squat using a pair of bells. All right, all I'm going to do here is get like this. Get a good squatting stance. I'm going to sink down to ideally the point where that hip crease is just beneath the knee crease. And because I'm front loaded, I stay taller up top. That more upright trunk position is going to get my quads going more. If I want to get it even more aggressively targeting the quads and really take the hamstrings out of the movement, I'm going to get my heels elevated on a bench, a pair of weight plates, or even wear a pair of squat shoes with an elevated heel. And then I can really sit tall, and that's going to, for a lot of people that are taller individuals or have ankle or hip mobility issues, you can access a deeper squat with a more forward shin angle and get more quad work. So that's the squat. Up next is the deadlift. All right, so the deadlift is always going to be more of a glute ham dominant exercise. You have more of a forward trunk position, which is less quad assistance, more hamstring assistance. All these movements, by the way, work the butt. The hips are always active, but a little more hamstring in this. Now, the degree with which you involve any quadricep depends on the type of deadlift variation. If we're going with a conventional deadlift, or let's say a kettlebell sumo deadlift, where I'm involving, even though I have a very forward trunk position, I have a little bit of knee bend involved in it, the quads will be more active on this variation because I am bending the knees. If I want to go pure hamstrings, I go pure hip hinge. Knees are soft, but that knee angle doesn't change throughout the exercise. All I do is flex and extend at the hip, form that tabletop position with a straight line from the head through the hips, and that is going to be ultra hamstrings. It is one of the most important exercises for hamstring development. Also very easy on the knees. If you have knee issues, you got to do that one. Up next is the hip thrust. If you're really looking to get some ass, the hip thrust is the ultimate butt building movement. Shout out to my buddy Brett Contreras, who popularized this exercise but also created this device that allows you to hip thrust properly and with band resistance, my favorite option, because you get peak tension at peak hip extension or peak glute contraction. So you can do this with a barbell, you can do this on the ground, there's a glute bridge, you can add a dumbbell to your lap, there are so many options, 2 leg, 1 leg. I'm going to show the band resisted option, but just like we talked about with the squat, where a forward shin angle is going to get more quad. If you want more glutes, you need more of a vertical shin angle or even a negative shin angle where the knee is significantly behind the ankle, and that's going to really make the glutes do most of the work. By the way, the shoulders elevated hip thrust is going to give you more glute activation according to muscle activation research than doing the glute bridge on the floor. Just consider that. So all I'm going to do is tuck the chin, pull the ribs and shoulders down, crunch the abs, lift up, and don't just get here. Get all the way up, kind of a double contraction, and create what's called a posterior pelvic tilt, where I'm turning that pelvis back towards my belly button. That's going to allow for maximum glute activation, and this one is just straight ass. You know it. All right, so this is the ultimate butt builder. If you have knee pain or really lagging glutes, this has to be a movement you incorporate. Now, which is best, right? For quads, squats, particularly front-loaded or heels elevated squatting. For hamstrings, hip hinge and deadlift variation, but particularly that hip hinge variation because we take away the quad assistance and it's all about stretching and lengthening the hamstrings and pulling them through. For the butt, the glutes, it's all about the hip thrust. So it's based on your goal, but ultimately you got to do all three of these movements if you want complete lower body development. But let's say you have quad dominance, very strong quads, weak glutes and hamstrings, you're going to do more hip hinges and hip thrusts. If you have really weak quads or you're recovering from knee issues and they've atrophied, the best options will be front-loaded squatting or indoor heels elevated squatting. Also, biking, cycling is amazing for the quads, but I digress. So these are how you look at these movements. There's not one best exercise. It's based on goal. Ultimately, you need them all. Hope this helps. Be sure to like, share with the swole mates, and check out thedailybj.com for all of my custom programmings, both shred fat loss and gains, muscle gain protocols. Love you guys. Peace.